Yeah, looks like we are in. So, hi everyone. Welcome to today's session of UPSC Buffet Live by Gallant IAS. So, we have in the last few days we have been discussing the PYQs of prelims in particular and writing like one answers daily, mainly based on PYQs only. So we are slowly transitioning from the mains preparation towards a more informed and guided prelims preparation. So I really hope the insights or the kind of discussion we had in the past session was really helpful for you, and I'm going to continue the same for two more days, and then we are going to switch to subject wise discussions. Okay, so let's get started. First one. According to the Portuguese writer Nunes, the women in Vijayanagara Empire were expert in which of the following areas? Okay, so right off the bat, we are having a question, like from medieval history. So I really don't know what's exactly the answer, but we knew few things about Vijayanagara. Why Vijayanagara is significant is because that is one of the last empires with a significant glory in terms of art, architecture, and their administrative policies, etc. So questions about Vijayanagara has been asked multiple times. In fact, I could say that there will be at least one question in which if Vijayanagara is given in the option, you can just directly go for it. Either Vijayanagara or Krishnadevaraya. Things like that. But I'm just saying as a last resort only, and also to emphasize on the importance of Vijayanagara Empire. All you have to do is not study Vijayanagara Empire in detail, but have a basic idea of that from the NCRT. Especially the Tamil Nadu NCRT really helps getting the idea about Vijayanagara Empire, and most of the questions are framed from that. And have a mental picture about how that empire worked, the administrative policies they had, the kind of rulers they had, major works, and then the status of women, then the status of lower caste, things like that, and what all cults were followed, were there Shaivite, Vaishnavite, Buddhist, Jainist, all sort of things. Just have a idea about the religious affiliations also. So that's all about any empire, and Vijayanagara in particular. And if you are starting off reading medieval history, I strongly recommend start with Vijayanagara, because it's a most rewarding topic and you are definitely going to get one question, and if you can make it right, it's really good. And even if you don't know, questions about Vijayanagara can be solved with few logic and our usual techniques. So even I didn't know the exact answer to this, so I knew Nunes was a contemporary to the Vijayanagara Empire, so that is there. And then he was expert in which of the following? Wrestling, astrology, accounting, soothsaying. Generally, Vijayanagara is a very progressive empire, and the status of women will be relatively high. So it is not it's not impossible. It's actually not very impossible to see women engaging in wrestling, astrology, accounting, or soothsaying. Especially this wrestling part is the key thing, and that has been given in 3 options also. So there is a good chance that women will be participating in sports like that, physically exerting sports like that, given the progressive nature of the Vijayanagara Empire. So by that positive assumption, I'll be going for 1 is right only. Astrology seems very likely, that's true. Accounting, yeah. Soothsaying, yeah. Obviously, if I could say all of 1, 2, 3, then obviously 4th one is not rather very difficult of choice. So 1 and 4 if I could pick 1 and 4 is there, then easily the answer would be D. So that will be the answer. I just have to activate this. Okay, so the answer will be D. That's about it. The takeaway will be learn about Vijayanagara. Not just fact, but the overall characteristics of the empire rulers like Krishnadevaraya. Also the geographic location, because it has also been asked. Geographical extent of the kingdom. Then architecture obviously. learn about that and do this for other empires as well, especially Mauryas and Guptas, etc. Guptas, Chola, Pallavas, Rashtrakutas, then Hoysalas, Chalukyas, etc. That's it. You don't have to go through the book like cover to cover, and don't do that. First of all, just have an idea about these empires, their timeline. The rough timeline will be enough, and see which all are the contemporaries. Have a note about the contemporaries of the time, and that really helps in eliminating the options. That's one thing. Then secondly, just go through the PYQs that has got mentioning of these kingdoms. Especially Vijayanagara. Vijayanagara is a definite question in most, at least in the last 5 years, there is at least one question. So Vijayanagara is a definite question, but about these kingdoms could also be asked. So just have an idea, and that's it. Just do make a small note about their characteristics and go through the PYQ. That's it. Nothing more has to be done here. And if you have time, you can go through it, but I would say save it for later. This is not very rewarding portion because there is a whole lot to cover. The cost to benefit ratio is very high, very low actually. Then with reference to palm oil, consider the following statements. Okay, palm oil tree is a native to Southeast Asia. Okay, the palm oil is a raw material for some industries producing lipstick and perfumes. Palm oil can be used to produce biodiesel. Okay, right off the bat, not many will be sure about the origin of palm oil, whether it's from Southeast Asia, Africa, or South America. We don't know. Okay, just keep it there. Palm oil is a raw material for some industries producing lipstick and perfumes. Palm oil being an oil, and mainly such an oil that has got widespread industrial uses, palm oil could be used in lipstick and perfumes, obviously, as an oil base. And lipstick does use oils, perfumes does require an oil base. So it's very likely that palm oil could be a raw material. It's a very harmless statement, and never ever doubt statements like these, because an edible oil being used in lipstick and perfumes, the likelihood is very high. Even things like lead have been found in these products, cosmetics. So an edible oil being found there, it's very, very likely. So never ever doubt these kind of statements. So 2 is right. Then palm oil can be used to produce biodiesel. Yeah, biodiesel. This is also true. And one more fact. Some people might overthink saying that, okay, it's biodiesel or biopetrol, since it is not given as biofuel. So biodiesel is in particular is mentioned. Just have an idea about this. If we are making biopetrol, or when gasoline alternatives are made, we use ethanol based products, and ethanol based products include ethanol production includes sugarcane, rice, cassava, things like that. On the other hand, for making diesel and or additives as diesel or biodiesel, we uses the edible oils or other oils, other natural oils, that are oil seeds that are cultivated. So have an idea that petroleum products, or the gasoline, the petrol we use in vehicles, those uses ethanol based or ethanol derived compounds. On the other hand, biodiesel uses oils. Okay, just have an idea. Biodiesel, oil, and petrol or gasoline that we use in our cars, it uses ethanol, or it could be derived from ethanol. So that's true. This also makes sense, and this is slightly factual. You need to have a slight idea about that. The palm oil can be used in biodiesel, because biodiesels use natural or oil seeds for that matter. So that's true. 2 and 3 is right. So we are left with 1 is gone. 2 and 3 is there. So we are left with B and D. So we have to check whether 1 is right or wrong. The first thing have to note is that palm oil is a plantation crop. And general characteristic of a plantation crop is that they are either formed from they are always introduced by a colonial power for obvious economic reasons, and favorable climate and the availability of labor, cheap labor, and their export market and their colonial backdrop helps. So that's why tea came to India. Tea actually came to India before that also. Rubber came to India. Then palm oil came to India, and other sort of plantation crops came to India and other parts of the world. So just consider another crop, just the same way, another plantation crop which has been introduced in India. Say for that matter, rubber or cashew. It has been introduced by the Portuguese, and it has been introduced from the South Americas. So there is a good chance that palm oil could be from either from South America or Africa. And in most cases, plantation crops that are being cultivated right now in the world are mostly non-native species, and that's exactly the reason why plantation cultivation is actually it's very detrimental to the local ecology. So since we know that palm oil and also there is one more fact, Southeast Asia is the largest producer of palm oil. I think Thailand is the largest producer and exporter of palm oil. And if you know that, plantation palm oil is a plantation crop, and generally plantation crops are cultivated in areas which are non-native to it. That's a general trait to it. So have an idea about that. And one more thing, most plantation crops and most crops for that matter that have been introduced by the colonial powers either comes from the Africa or South America. And of course exceptions are there, like coffee and other things, but most cases it will be either like rubber from South America, and palm oil also I think palm oil is from Africa. So that's the thing. Have a general idea that a plantation crop which is currently cultivated in a region will most likely be an introduced crop by a colonial power. So it's native to Southeast Asia is wrong. I couldn't directly arrive at the answer, but I could choose the right statements first. You may think that okay, if I could eliminate that and I could easily arrive at these answers. It's not how it works. You should actually work on choosing the statements which you know something about, and if they tend to be correct, and then go for the elimination. Otherwise it will be a whole lot complicated. You cannot just simply start with eliminating this statement alone. You just have to go through these statements and then eliminate at least two statements, then leave two statements, come back in round 2, 3, and then eliminate it and arrive at the answer. So one is wrong, and we'll arrive at the answer as B. 52 is B. So takeaway is that have an idea of plantation crops. And UPSC has been asking this question: major crops introduced by the colonial powers, especially Portuguese. This has been recently been asked multiple times. So especially Portuguese, but focus on others as well, but focus on these major crops introduced. Okay, that's the thing. Major crops introduced, especially by Portuguese. This is the takeaway from this portion. So moving on. Okay, with reference to street lighting, how do sodium lamps differ from LED lamps? We are not going to learn anything about this, or we're not going to see anything about this in any book or any test series. Just have to use your logic. That's the only way out with these questions, and most of the aspirants who clear the exam tend to correct these questions. So you need to have an edge on questions like this. So sodium lamps produce light in 360 degree, but it is not so in the case of LED lamps. Okay, first of all, try to picturize a sodium lamp. We know sodium lamp is not the latest technology. By the name of it, we can imagine that okay, it is not incandescent light also, as in the normal tungsten bulb we see. I think it's not the case. There is no sodium lamp in it. So it could either be it could be a contemporary to the incandescent light or a precursor to incandescent light, meaning it is very less advanced compared to LED lamps. And so LED lamps replaces these older technologies like CFL lamps or incandescent lamps because they have got some issues, and LEDs are able to fix those issues. So have an idea. And about LEDs, what's the most the greatest advantage of LED is that it's cheaper, it's highly efficient, and it's durable. These are the three features that makes LED bulbs a very desirable lighting option. Cost is the cost factor actually varies. You can say that it's relatively expensive in comparison to CFL or incandescent light. That's true. But in terms of efficiency, the total running cost, it's very low. because it takes almost 1 by 10 the power of a normal incandescent bulb to provide the same amount of light. So have an idea, and you need to know why LEDs have this high efficiency, because in incandescent light a lot of energy is wasted as heat, whereas in LED very little like most of the energy is being converted to visible light only. So that is there. So I have an idea. I think you all know about these things about LEDs. Have a basic idea about that. Also learn something about blue LEDs. It has been asked in mains also, and the questions like these could be repeated. So that's it. Then sodium lamps produce light in 360 degrees, but it is not so in the case of LED lamps. Okay, maybe I don't know, but I could picture it. But wait, let me see if I could eliminate something. As street light sodium lamps have longer lifespan than LED lamps. This is a very unlikely scenario. Why? Because LED lamps are so far one of the most durable of lighting solutions out there. So this could be wrong. So 2 could be wrong. Right off the bat 2 could be wrong, because LEDs are very much durable and sodium lamps having a higher lifespan is very less likely. Then spectrum of visible light from sodium lamps is almost monochromatic. LED lamps offer significant color advantages in street lighting. Yeah. Okay, we don't even need to read about that. I think 3 is right only, obviously. By reading it also we get it. So we are left with A and C. So the question is, the challenge is to eliminate whether or not to eliminate the first one. Okay, let's see. Sodium lamps produce light in 360 degrees, but it is not so in the case of LED lamps. Okay, I can imagine a sodium lamp. I imagine sodium lamp as something that has been used in the old lighting solutions like Petromax and all. I think they use the sodium lamps. I'm not really sure about that, but I'm picturizing that. Okay, it appears like a cylinder and the light is being emitted across it. Yeah, that is true. 360 degree emission of light is there, but is it the case with LED lamps? Okay, there are a lot of LED lamps out there in different form factors are there, and the issue with LED lamps, which I know, is that they're surface mounted. Most cases they are surface mounted, meaning the emission of light is not necessarily in 360 degrees. Like it could be directional, but with the help of an added lens, it has been spread across. If you have looked inside an LED lamp, you could see that the light emitting part is there, but it's not entirely in a 360 degree or a cylindrical shape. It's a flat piece of diode, and the light is being emitted, and with use of the lens, it is been spread out evenly across in a circular pattern. But I'm not really sure that it emits in 360 degrees. So this could be right given the nature of LED and the circuit, the arrangement of circuit. This could be right, but this could also be wrong. There is an element of risk to it, but I think sodium lamps produce light in 360 degrees, but it's not so in the case of LED lamps. Okay, there is a good chance that this could be right given the shape of the LED diode. It could be, but one more thing, generally if UPSC asks something like this, sodium lamps produce light in but it's also in the case of LED lamps. Things like these tend to be wrong in general. Okay, I think one more question similar to this. I'll show you while I'm solving that. But I feel like given I have some knowledge about LED lamps, the circuit design, and I think this could be right. As in this first statement could be right. So that's why I'm going with 72C. So there is an element of risk to it because I could be wrong, but as far as my understanding goes, sodium lamps does produce light in 360 degree, that is sure, but LEDs I'm not really sure. That's the reason why I made this statement correct, because it's not the case in LED lamps. Okay, if LED lamps are not emitting it in 360 degrees, just 180 degrees of light throw is there, then the statement could be right. Nothing specific as in how many degrees of spread is there, that is nothing of that sort is mentioned. So this could be right. So I'm going with 72C. So yeah, and that's also the answer that UPSC has given also. So that's there. But most of the people will be right to doubting this statement because they're rightly doubting it, because UPSC, when they're giving statement like this, it could be wrong. This in the case of a solar pump question was there, I think in 2022 or 21 or 20, I guess, I don't know. A question was there which was in the similar pattern and it was wrong also. So that is there. Takeaway is that look, new technologies of lighting, technologies of LEDs and their applications. Then learn about significance of blue LED. This could be a potential question, I feel, because they have asked this in mains 2 years back. So something of this sort will be asked in the coming year. There is not much significance to it. Blue LED help us create the white LEDs that we see today. The invention of blue LED led to the creation of white LED, which made the LEDs the lighting solution, the go-to-go lighting solutions, that we see today. That's the main significance of it. And there is a challenge to developing blue LED. All of this you can just search on the internet and you will get. There is a YouTube video on blue LED, invention of blue LED by Veritasium. It's a really good video. You can watch it on your free time, and that really helps you, get a picture about how LEDs work. And you don't need to learn everything about it, but having an idea helps us, when the questions get a little bit technical. And that's it. Moving on. Consider the following statements in respect of the Laureus World Sports Award, which was instituted in the year 2000. American golfer Tiger Woods was the first winner of the award. First of all, absolutely no clue about what does this even mean, and it's the 90th question, last question, and I think this is when they started asking sports questions. Since I started writing main prelims, I think this is when they started asking sports question, and this obviously came as a surprise. And first, I'll be honest that I absolutely have no clue regarding sports or anything. I don't even read the sports page unless there is some football match happening. So obviously no idea. Laureus World Sports Award, which was instituted in the year 2000. Okay, they have given some information that it has been instituted in 2000. American golfer Tiger Woods was the first winner of this award. Okay, maybe he's a very famous golfer. Even those who don't even know what golf means knows Tiger Woods. Okay, the award was received mostly by Formula 1 players. Okay, Formula 1. So they are saying that it's mostly received by Formula 1 players. Okay, Roger Federer received this award maximum number of times compared to others. Okay, apparently I don't have any idea about this. But if I have to attempt this question, I have one way to go, and it's slightly risky, but given the confidence level, I might attempt it. In the actual exam, I attended this question because I was short on few attempts, and so I have to, cross the 92 mark, 90, I think, 95 questions. So I attended this. The first statement, maybe since it's instituted in the year 2000, and Tiger Woods is somebody who has been in his prime in the post 2005 time, I think. Yeah, in post 2005 was his prime, I think, or before that. But there is a good chance that Tiger Woods could be the first winner of this award. Maybe. The award was received mostly by Formula 1 players. Okay, maybe. For Roger Federer received this award maximum number of times compared to other. Okay. The issue with these three statements is that the kind of sports they are mentioning are entirely different. Okay, they are mentioning, the third one is about tennis, then Formula 1, then golf. So apparently it is being given to all sorts of sport, not just limited to any sport, and by the name of it is there. But if the second statement is right, that the award was received mostly by Formula 1 players so far, then there is a good chance that 3 could be wrong. Or if 3 is right, then 2 could also be wrong. 2 could be wrong. Either way, because Roger Federer received this award maximum number of times compared to others. Because let's be very real. The first award given to a golf player and the sports award being given to Formula 1 players. Formula 1 is not as celebrated sport. This is a bit controversial thing, but just for the sake of solving question, it's not a very celebrated or a go-to-go sort of sports for everybody. Motorsports are a niche when it comes to sports. I'm not saying that they are not there are not audience and all. Of course there are. That's why they have got $1 billion industry out there. That's another topic. But compared to tennis or golf, tennis for that matter, tennis has got much more fans following and audience there, and there is a good chance that an award being given to a tennis player is more likely than being given to Formula 1 players. Maybe Formula 1 players have won this award, I don't know, but there is a good chance that this award might be won by somebody, not somebody, but a player who's from a relatively popular sport. So since Roger Federer's statement is given, one thing is for sure, those two and three cannot coexist. So I eliminate those two right away. So which means one is definitely right. So I don't have to look about it. Then I have to either choose between award was received mostly by Formula 1 players and Roger Federer received this award maximum number of times. So given the popularity of Formula 1 is less in compared to tennis, and there is a good chance that awards are based on popular voting. So I tend and I lean towards the third statement being right. I could be wrong, that is there, but judging by the language of the question, I'm like, okay, the third statement is more likely, and so that's why I'm tending towards 3. I'm choosing 3. 98 is C. Like 1 is definitely right, and so the answer is 98 C. Let me see whether it's the answer. Yeah, it's C only. And that's the reason I chose C, because 2 and 3 cannot coexist, and second, the Formula 1 being a less popular sport compared to tennis, and an award like this being given to Formula 1 players or being received mostly by Formula 1 players seems less likely compared to the third statement. Third statement seems more likely. So that's it. That's how I arrived at the answer. There is no particular takeaway, but just have an idea of, okay, if at all a question about sports being asked, follow Olympics and chess updates. That's the most important or the kind of predictable ones we have. Olympics, chess updates, that's it. You cannot study anything about this and you cannot be prepared. If at all, if possible, you have got enough attempts, just leave this question. If not, try to attempt it using some logic and just take a chance with it. The good chance it will be right if you have you have read the thing and you have an idea about the UPSC language, you could be right only. But I don't recommend taking this risk all the time. And if you have enough attempts, just leave this question. And if you want to know more, don't delve deep into the sports area. Just follow Olympics, chess updates, and any sports awards. Sports awards of India. Awards of India. That's it. This is not very rewarding area, so I don't recommend it. Okay. In the context of colonial India, Shahnawaz Khan, Prem Kumar Sehgal and Gurubaksh Singh Delion are remembered as, again, no idea. So we have to look for it. Leaders of Swadeshi and Boycott, okay, members of interim government, members of drafting committee, office of Indian National Army. Okay, first of all, I didn't have any idea about this question, who these people are. That's actually my problem. I should have been knowing who they were, but I didn't. But that didn't stop me from attempting this question and making it right. I only had one trick up my sleeve. Generally, if a group of people are being given, it's a general trick, just general technique only. That's how you should be doing it with any other question. Just assess the quality of these people or assess the characteristics of these people. Okay, you can use if you know who they are and their political ideology, use that. Apparently, I don't know who these people are, so I don't know their political ideology, and then I could look for their regions, if they belong to a particular region or the regions they belong, and whether there is a pattern to these regions. Okay, so if they belong to Gujarat, Mumbai, and somebody from South and things like that, means it could be a Congress oriented or something of that sort, something that has got a pan-Indian footprint. So things like, or pan-Indian footprint like Congress or CPI, something like that. So I could analyze the people based on their political ideology, then their philosophy, then their region, and then their religion. Okay, that's also one more thing. So because in India, the majority of the organizations, they had a backdrop of at least few of these, either regionalist sentiments or communal sentiments or their political ideology or their collective hate towards colonialism. Things like that has been the unifying factor. So since these three people have been a part of one thing, and I know one Shanawaz Khan, he's a Muslim. Prem Kumar Sehgal, good chance that he is Hindu. Gurbaksh Singh Dhillon. This is where it gets insightful. I would say that there have been very few organizations where you could see a Sikh leader and a Muslim leader together. And in most scenarios, if Sikh and Muslim leaders are being found or seen together, there's a good chance that they either belong to the Ghadar party or the INA. Okay, that's the kind of logic I had. Gurbaksh Singh Dhillon is he's a Sikh leader, and then Shanawaz Khan is a Muslim leader. Prem Sehgal, most likely a Hindu leader. So a Muslim leader and a Sikh leader. Sikh leader in general, if Sikh leaders are present, they could belong to only few things like Ghadar party, INA, then the Unionist. These three are the most probable ones, and in this scenario, I think there is a good chance that they belong to Ghadar or INA. Okay, because leaders of Swadeshi boycott movement, these two were not very much active in the Punjab region, so he couldn't be a part of that. He could be, but very less likely. Had he been, we would have known. Members of the interim government, okay. Members of the interim government, they are mostly people from people who are actually very experienced, and they are very senior members. And if there is somebody like Shanawaz Khan, he would have some sort of prefix, Haji or something like that, and Gurbaksh Singh Dhillon, he might have some prefix like Sardar or something, given his age to indicate his age, because most of the members of the interim government they were senior in nature, senior members of drafting committee also same, they were seniors, and all these three names we haven't heard much. So had they been members of drafting committee, we would have heard about it. So this is gone, and this is gone, and that's how I arrive at the answer. I had one logic with myself, that if Sikh leaders are there, and there is good chance that they belong to the Ghadar party or the INA or the Unionists. But Unionists is not very relevant, but yeah, these two parties, these two associations. So takeaway is INA trials, Ghadar party, and these two. Okay, CPI also. Leaders, conspiracies like Meerut conspiracy. These questions can be asked, and especially CPI leaders, PC Joshi, question about PC Joshi has been asked. So these are the takeaway from this particular question. Okay, next up, it's a very easy one. Just have a clean head. Don't overthink. Okay, you know what the answer is. The only reason why you are making it wrong is because you overthink. Which among the following steps is most likely to be taken at the time of economic recession? Okay, the questions with these is that you will be attempting, you will be very sure about you have read about it, and there is a latent feeling of ego that I should be attending this question and I should make it right because I have studied economy enough. So I better make it right because I have attended multiple test series and I have made it right or wrong, and I have got so much of experience, so I should be making it right only. The problem is that most of the people tend to directly choose the answer, but UPSC has given it in a way that you should be able to eliminate the wrong ones to arrive at the answer. So I do not recommend choosing the right answer for questions like this. I recommend eliminating the wrong ones to arrive at the right answer. So I'll tell you exactly what I mean by that. Okay. So most likely to be taken at the time of economic recession. So economic recession is happening, means recession means the GDP itself is shrinking, not just the GDP growth. The GDP itself is shrinking, meaning the economic growth is entirely chaotic, or it's entirely going down. It's a downhill journey for the economic growth of the country, economic activity in general. So if economic activity is down, and obviously what's the next step government is going to take? They just want to make it up again. Okay, obviously. So cut in tax rate. Yeah, cutting in tax rate. Okay, accompanied by hiking in interest rate. Okay, if they cut in tax rate, okay, that's a good approach, because cutting down the tax rate will help people to have more disposable income, and that can fuel more economic activity. But by increasing the interest rate, the loans for the businesses tend to get expensive, and it's not a very likely scenario. Cut in tax rate and cut in interest rate is the way to go if that's the case. But they have said that this is increase in interest rate. This cannot be right. This cannot be right. The first thing could be right. So that's gone. Increase in expenditure on public projects. Okay. By spending money on public projects, government can fuel economic growth by means of providing durable assets as well as the economic activity through employment generation happening by these public projects, creation of roads, railways or anything, and people are being employed there, and the steel production from the factories, so everything. So it kickstarts the economy, and at the same time it provides the public with a durable asset which further stimulates growth. So this is a possible scenario. Second one is likely, but you cannot just simply directly jump at the answer. Okay, increasing in expenditure on public roads is the most likely to be taken. Yeah, there it is, but we have to look at the other options as well. Increase in tax rates accompanied by reduction of interest rate. The exact opposite of this. Again, the issue is that reduction of interest rate is right only, but increase in tax rate, how can they increase the tax rate? If they increase tax rate, the economic activity will further go down. People will be having very less disposable income, and don't think that increasing the tax rate, government will have more money and government will be able to spend that on. No, there is something called an optimum tax rate, and beyond which tax evasion prevails and it can be counterproductive. So increasing tax rate is not the ideal way to go, and the government should ensure that an optimum tax rate is maintained so that the tax compliance is ensured. If it increase the tax rate beyond a certain limit, people won't be paying tax, people won't be engaging in business activity, because the amount their hard-earned money will be gone to tax as government tax only. So they won't be working as hard as they should. So that's not a very good approach. So don't think that increasing tax rate is the way to go. Don't think that. That's a very basic thought process. We need to have an optimal tax rate. That's the reason why the GST has been optimized recently to fuel further economic growth and to boost domestic demand. So there is very less likely scenario of this happening. Reduction of expenditure on public projects. If the government is reducing expenditure on public projects, what could happen? Already the economy is not working, and somebody has to kickstart it, and government is the only one who's capable of doing that. And if they are choosing not to spend on expenditure, no kickstarting and no economy running, and it's not going to work. So this is the way to go. 3B. That's it. I hope you get the answer. There is no particular takeaway. Just solve similar PYQs. And I think almost every year we will get some question like this, and solving these PYQs will really get solidify your conceptual understanding about the recession and the kind of countermeasures government has government is taking and will take, things like that. So just solve the PYQs. That's it. Solve the PYQs, and if you have doubt about it, just go through the key. That's it. Okay. Next question. Okay. Again, an economic question. Other things remain unchanged. Okay. Market demand for a good might increase. Okay. It's a big question, and you might be you might feel a bit dicey to attempt it in the first place, because it's very long and it has got a lot of options as well. But one thing is there. As I have mentioned in the previous class, there are 4 statements given, and in the options there is 3 and 2. As in 3 options, 3 statements as right, and then there is 1 statement as 2. That means the number of options in the number of statements given in the options is less than the total number of options or statements given there. So there is a good chance that something could be eliminated. So that's a good start for us. Let's look at it. Other things remaining unchanged. Market demand for a good might increase. Okay, market demand for a good. You don't need to know much about economies or any theoretical understanding of it. Just have an idea. Okay, market demand for a good. Okay, might increase. Okay, imagine we have something like bread. Okay, and price of its substitute increases. Okay, and the demand for bread will increase. Imagine the situations where the demand for bread will increase given these conditions. So price of its substitute increases. Okay, substitute of bread is like bun or maybe chapati for that matter. So if the price of chapati increases or a rice increases, then bread seems like a good option. So the demand of bread will obviously increase. So that is true. So I hope you understand. Then price of its complement increases. Okay, price of its complement, something that goes along with this product. For example, in our case, bread. Then there is jam or butter. If bread is usually paired with jam or butter, and the price of jam or butter goes high, then what happens? Then the demand of bread actually goes down, because the one that is being paired with this, usually paired with this, is getting expensive. Then people look for alternatives that doesn't have that pair. So if jam or butter is getting expensive, people won't be buying bread, because if they want to have bread, they need jam or butter for that matter. So price of its complement increases means the demand will go down only. So market demand increase. So 2 is wrong. And we have arrived at, okay, 1 4. We don't have to read with the fourth statement. 3. The good is an inferior good and the income of consumer increases. Okay. You know what an inferior good means. Inferior good means something whose value is more or less the same, remains the same, and something that is essentially nature actually, or something not like a luxury good, not a Veblen good. It's just a given good. So the good is an inferior good. Say for that matter, bread. Okay, and the demand for bread will always be there, since it's a staple diet, bread or rice for that matter. The demand will always be there, irrespective of income of consumers. If the income of consumers rises, okay, that could be there, like slight increase would be there. But even if there is not, people have to survive on that. So since it's an inferior good, the income of consumer wouldn't really reflect on that. But on the other hand, consider a superior good like iPhones or something, iPhones or luxury cars or luxury products, things like that. So if people's income increases, demand for those will increase, because those kind of goods will have more buyers. But on the other hand, for rice or bread for that matter, if the income of people increases, doesn't really mean that the demand is going to increase. It's not a very likely scenario. So this could be wrong, because it's an inferior good. Had it been a superior good, that's a right statement. So price of its substitute increases is right. 2 is wrong. Then 3 is also wrong. We are left with A. So it's 4A. This is basic supply demand. Just use your logic. But just most people who don't know anything will be struggling with price of its complement. What does this complement mean? What does this inferior good mean? Having that idea will really help. Just know about supply demand, and also given good and given Veblen goods. Okay, just have an idea about that. Then the next one. Okay, another economy question. The effect of devaluation of a currency is that it necessarily, pay very close attention, effect of devaluation of a currency is that it necessarily is mentioned. Very important. Devaluation, okay, I don't know, I haven't particularly studied anything about it, but let me see. Improves the competitiveness of the domestic markets, domestic exports in the foreign markets. Okay, increases the foreign value of domestic currency, improves the trade balance. Okay, so what does this devaluation means? Devaluation, from the name itself, is it is meaning that reducing the value. Devaluing meaning reducing the value of the currency. So reducing the value of currency, does it, and also it should be like a necessary condition, that is, it's definitely going to do something. So increases the foreign value of domestic currency. How does that happen? Okay, just think about an example. When it comes to questions like this, always think about example. Okay, if the currency is being devalued, say for example Indian rupee, if 100 rupee, the exchange rate currently goes for assuming it's 80 rupees per dollar, meaning $1 gets you $80 rupees. And if devaluation is done, $1 will get you more than 80 rupees, that is like 90 rupees. So in the first scenario, it is like $1 equal to 80 rupees. Post devaluation, $1 equal to 90 rupees. So who is having the advantage here? The one who is holding the dollar is having the advantage, because earlier he used to get only 80 rupees, now he gets 90 rupees. So the foreign value of domestic currency is obviously not increased, it's actually decreased. So 2 is wrong, 2 is gone. And improves the competitiveness of the domestic exports in the foreign market, improves the trade balance. Okay, these two things are similar. See, they say that the competitiveness of the domestic export increases, improves the trade balance. Trade balance means export versus import with countries, like other countries, one country or other countries in general. So the issue with that, either of these statement is right, and both of them are connected only, and there is a necessary condition also. So in these two, which could be the most generalistic of things, or one that is more probable to happen compared to the other? Actually, improving the trade competitiveness of domestic export in the foreign markets can lead to improving of trade balance. This is a byproduct of this. So if this happens, only then this happens. Or of course there are other situations like having bilateral agreements and all, but given this setup, increasing the competitiveness will definitely lead to improving the trade balance, and we know that only one of them is right. So one is more probable, because one happens first for 3 to happen again. So I'll go with 1. So that's how you choose the answer. And the takeaway from this is like devaluation of currency and its effects, especially in the Chinese backdrop, because they do that and they purposefully keep the value of their renminbi low to make their exports competitive. And you have to know that it's kind of market distortion practices, and which has been strongly condemned by the World Organization and countries, particularly USA and West. So that is there, but there are ways in which value of a currency is being kept under control so that it doesn't rise to a level, or nor does it fall to a level. Country like India, we need a certain level of devaluation in our currency so that our exports remain competitive. That's the reason why any export oriented economy need to have their currency have a slight devalued nature. That really helps in their improving their competitiveness. Have this idea. Export oriented economies, currencies are generally devalued. Having this idea really helps when it comes to solving questions that are related to countries and their economic performances. Okay, then the next one. With reference to Chausatyogini temple situated in Morena, consider the following statement. It is a circular temple built during the reign of Kachapagada dynasty. No idea. It is the only circular temple built in India. Okay, it could be. Maybe that's the reason why this has been asked. Maybe. I'm not eliminating it just because it has got only, because maybe I haven't seen many circular temples if I think about it. Okay, it was meant to promote Vaishnava cult in the region, maybe, but there is a good chance that it could be Shaivite also. They have just changed the cult part and we don't know. Its design has given rise to a popular belief that it was an inspiration behind Parliament building. This is very much in news because back then the Central Vista project was in news, and the Chausatyogini temple and Edward Lutyens and Herbert Baker design, those kind of things has been discussed. So Chausatyogini temple being an inspiration for Indian Parliament, that is right. And also the statement is given in a very harmless way. Its design has given rise to a popular belief that it was the inspiration behind. Not that the Indian Parliament the design is been entirely based on Chausatyogini temple. It's framed in such a way that it's a very general sort of statement. It has given a rise to a popular belief. So it's right only. So actually the question is set in such a way that knowing 4 is right will help us eliminate 2 options, and then we have to choose between C and D. Okay. Among these two, which could be wrong, or the statements with high burden of proof could be eliminated. That's the only way around. Kachapagada dynasty, okay. Chausatyogini temple, okay. I haven't heard of this dynasty, so I don't know. Maybe if you have heard, very good, then you can right away arrive at the answer. Then the other one is, it is the only circular temple built in India. This is this could be right, but this could also be wrong, because India has got millions of temples, and the only circular temple, very less likelihood, and it was meant to promote the Vaishnava cult in the region. Chausat Yogini temple, okay, it mentions about Chausat Yogini. Seems like a female deity, or sounds like a female deity. There's very less chance that it's a Vaishnava cult, because any female deities mentioned, it should be Durga temple or Ardhanarishwara temples that belong to the Shaivite. But I don't think this is a very likely scenario. Kachapagada dynasty also, I don't know. But the only thing, and the Vaishnava cult, I think these two statements could be wrong. At least one of them could be wrong. And here it's given like 2, 3, 4 is there. So this could be wrong actually. This could be wrong. I'm not really sure about it. But the burden of proof is very high on these two. As in, the only circular temple, like having just another circular temple anywhere in this country, will make this statement wrong. And Vaishnava cult, it could easily be something else, like Shaivite cult or anything. And especially the name given is Yogini, so there is less chance it could be Vaishnava. So I am eliminating 3. So I'm left with 1. Like 4 is right only, so C. So that's how I arrive at the answer. Just keep an eye on latest construction, or like it's basically construction, I would say, inspiration for parliament or other government buildings. Okay, just have an idea. That's it. The Central Vista project, example, Central Vista project, Chengol, etc. Things practice question. What are the main features of Vedic society and religion? Do you think some of these features are still prevailing in Indian society? This has been asked in GS1 society question. They have clubbed 2 things: whether you have an idea about Vedic society, and also whether these features are prevailing in Indian society. So it's a society question clubbed with a history part. Very brilliantly framed question, and those who have a decent idea about, or whose preparation has been in such a way that they don't study things subject wise and have a cross paradigmatic approach to their learning and writing, they can very well good score with this. I'll give you some few tips on how to improve or how to approach these questions, and how to answer when the questions is being asked about Vedic society and religion. This is one answer I wrote. This was in the test series, and I wrote it. I actually couldn't stick to the time limit. I think I wrote it. I took more than 14 minutes or something. I should be taking 12 minutes or something. I took 14 or 15 minutes to write this answer. But you should be able to do this in a much lesser time. So first, give an introduction about the Vedic society. That Vedic society emerged around 1500 and lasted 500 BC. They are the second modern civilization in Indian subcontinent. This is basic thing. Everybody knows this. I just added one more thing, like they are the second modern civilization in Indian subcontinent after the Indus Valley, because I couldn't think of anything. And also for introduction, I don't want to write anything more than 2 sentences, because the body part is going to be very huge and I'm going to fill in all the content there. I'm not going to mention anything about Vedic society, their characteristics in the intro, because I'll lose out on the body part. I'm not going to sacrifice the body part, because that's the only area where I have some leverage. So intro, very simple, just give it. And if you are mentioning anything about Vedic society, the issue with this is that Vedic society is not a very consistent when it comes to early Vedic and later Vedic. Their characteristics are very much opposing. So it's better to actually mention or structure it in a way that you show the difference. So when Vedic society is being asked, just slap in a table like this. Okay, early Vedic, later Vedic, then the way of life, pastoralist, limited, then settled agriculture, political system. It's basically content. So features of Vedic society, because that's the first explicit part. What are the main features of Vedic society and religion? Okay, so we just used few headers like way of life, their political system, status of women. These are the social features of the Vedic society. The caste system, status of Dalits. These can easily be framed. When you think about it, having these headers is all it takes. The rest of the content is very easy. You can just fill in. You can just see that, okay, way of life, then status of women, religious practice. Obviously the first early Vedic were like more spiritual, less ceremonial. With time, they got more ceremonial with Yagas, Yajna, Rajasuya, Ashwamedha, Vajpaya, etc. Then based on occupation, flexible. Initially, the caste system was based on occupation and it was flexible. Then it was birth-based. Then it became status of Dalits. They were occasionally integrated to the society, but they were completely banished, outcasted in the later Vedic age, because later Vedic is a regressive society and features of the society that are prevailing in India. If you have been asked about something like this, generally have an idea about the tone of the question. The question has got a slight negative tone to it, so you may start by mentioning the negative features, but don't limit yourself to negative features only, because it has not asked about the negative features. Do you think some of these features are still prevalent in Indian society? So you have to mention the features that are prevalent and that are very, very significant. And you don't think like, okay, only bad, okay, you have an idea that, okay, Vedic age, in the later Vedic age became a regressive society, so only bad things has prevailed. No, don't think or structure your answer like that. Of course, they got regressive, and those have been carried over to the current society, and where most of our, in reality, our regressive elements can be traced back to the later Vedic age. That is very true, but don't limit yourself to the bad parts of the Vedic age. Patriarchy, though not as evident. Yeah, this is where I kind of explain a bit. Because patriarchy, though not as evident, as in everybody will be mentioning patriarchy, but we could just add a qualifier so that we know something about it. That it's not as evident, but is evident in education, employment, political participation. That there's, the overt patriarchy have been reduced to subtle patriarchy. Then caste discrimination has developed, but mob lynching, honor killing prevails. Superstitions, extreme forms of belief such as human sacrifice, yes, and give some example, Telangana, Kerala or something. These sort of human sacrifice happen everywhere, so you can give any example. Then political, bureaucratic, egalitarian, but upper caste domination prevails. Single-use stats. Stats that could be used in multiple questions, multiple subjects. Just use that, use minimal of that, and use them across the subjects. This way you can stay very light, and when you write the answers, you could just think of other points and then you can integrate them. So such a way the study can be streamlined. Otherwise, your vision will be very narrow and focused, and you won't be getting into the breadth of the question, and the question will be very short-sighted and very narrow, and that is where they say that the demand of the question is not being met, and it kind of makes it hard for you to brainstorm. Those kind of things can be trained easily when you have a mentor, and you can get in touch with Gallant IAS for that matter. We have exceptional mentors for that matter. So for improving your answer writing or for prelims, you can just get in touch with Gallant IAS for that. We have got dedicated mentorship, and I am also a mentor there. So you can get in touch with me. Good features of Vedic society such as, okay, now mention the good features of Vedic society. So that is strong family ties. It's a very good thing. Then elaborate celebrations like Holi. That's part of our culture. So celebrations, the magnanimity of the celebrations. Then social harmony, community groups also exist. This communal, non-individualistic aspect of our society is a very good thing. We share everything, the communal festivals, the celebrations, everybody in a celebratory mode. We are not individualistic, we are not closed up on each other. Things like that, it comes from the later Vedic age or the Vedic age. And even in the later Vedic age, things like these prevailed. So that is there. And write a forward-looking conclusion for this. Like, as for any progressive society, this is a generalistic conclusion for any sort of question, which I have, I just happen to write in this question only. So as for any progressive society, we must preserve our good humanistic social values and culture and relinquish discriminatory practices. So this way, nation's unity, integrity, brotherhood, thereby prosperity can be achieved. Simple as that. That, we have to preserve our culture and heritage, but not at the cost of, preserving the bad practices. You have to let go of the bad practices, but preserve the good ones so that our identity or our heritage remains solid. So that's about it. That's about the today's session. And thank you, and see you tomorrow. Okay? Bye. ആ മിഥുനെ, പിന്നെ ഞാൻ അർഷദ. ആ ലൈവ് ആണെങ്കിൽ ക്യാൻസൽ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. അതായത് എൻ്റെ കണക്ഷൻ ഒന്ന് മിസ്സായിരുന്നു, എല്ലാം തീർന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട്. പക്ഷെ ഇപ്പം എനിക്ക് ലൈവിലോട്ട് കണക്ട് അതങ്ങ് ക്യാൻസൽ ചെയ്തേക്കാം ലൈവ്. നമ്മുടെ യൂട്യൂബിൽ സ്റ്റുഡിയോയിൽ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല അത്. ബാക്കിയെല്ലാം ഓക്കെ. ട്രെയിനിങ് ഒക്കെ കഴിഞ്ഞു. സെഷനും കഴിഞ്ഞു. ശരി. ഓക്കെ ശരി. താങ്ക് യു.